Here's something that might surprise many folks dealing with high creatinine levels. Not all nuts are created equal when it comes to kidney health. Some can actually help, while others might be quietly making things worse. Let's talk about which ones belong in the pantry and which ones don't. Welcome back to Health Bloom, where we break down health topics in ways that actually make sense for everyday life. Today's conversation is especially important for anyone who's seen those creatinine numbers creeping up on recent lab results, or for those caring for someone managing kidney health. Now, there's a lot of confusion out there about nuts and kidney health. Walk into any health food store and the messaging is pretty clear. Nuts are superfoods, packed with healthy fats and nutrients. But when creatinine levels start climbing, suddenly the rules change. The truth is somewhere in the middle, and that's exactly what we're unpacking today. Before diving in, if this information helps, hitting that like button really does make a difference. It helps others who are searching for answers find this content too. And subscribing means staying connected to more conversations like this one, where health information meets real life. Let's start with the basics, because understanding why certain nuts matter for creatinine levels makes all the difference. Creatinine is essentially a waste product that comes from normal muscle activity. Healthy kidneys filter this out pretty efficiently, keeping levels nice and steady in the bloodstream. When those creatinine numbers start climbing above normal range, it's often signaling that the kidneys aren't filtering as effectively as they should be. This is where food choices become more than just nutrition. They become part of supporting kidney function or potentially adding extra burden to an already challenged system. Here's what makes nuts particularly tricky for kidney health. They're concentrated sources of several minerals, especially potassium and phosphorus. In a healthy system, these minerals are essential and beneficial. But when kidney function declines, the body struggles to maintain proper balance of these nutrients. Think of it this way. Healthy kidneys are like efficient filtration systems, constantly adjusting and removing excess minerals. When that filtration slows down, minerals like potassium and phosphorus can start accumulating in the bloodstream, creating a whole cascade of potential problems, from heart rhythm issues to bone weakness.
Now, this doesn't mean nuts are completely off the table. Far from it, actually. Research has shown that moderate nut consumption can still offer benefits for people managing kidney concerns, but the key words here are moderate and the right types. Making smart choices about which nuts to enjoy makes all the difference. Let's talk about the 3 nuts that tend to be safer choices for folks managing high creatinine levels. These are the ones that can typically stay on the grocery list, enjoyed in appropriate portions. Understanding what makes them different helps with making confident choices at the store or when preparing meals at home. First up are macadamia nuts, and there's good reason these often top the kidney-friendly list. Compared to most other nuts, macadamias contain notably lower amounts of both potassium and phosphorus. They're rich in heart-healthy monounsaturated fats, similar to what's found in olive oil, which can be beneficial for overall cardiovascular health. The creamy, buttery texture of macadamias make them surprisingly versatile, too. Chopped up in a small portion, they add richness to salads or can be enjoyed as a standalone snack. The key is paying attention to portions, typically keeping servings to about a small handful or roughly an ounce, and choosing unsalted varieties whenever possible.
Pecans come in as another generally safer option for kidney health. While they do contain some potassium and phosphorus, the levels are more moderate compared to other popular nuts like almonds or cashews. Pecans bring their own nutritional benefits too, including antioxidants and healthy fats that support heart health, something particularly important. What makes pecans appealing for many people is their naturally sweet, almost buttery flavor profile. A few pecans can add satisfying crunch and richness to morning oatmeal or yogurt without requiring large quantities. Again,
Portion awareness is important, and opting for raw or dry roasted versions without added salt is the way to go. The third nut that often gets a green light for kidney-conscious eating is chestnuts, and these are actually quite unique in the nut world. Unlike most nuts that are high in fats, chestnuts are much lower in fat and higher in carbohydrates, giving them a completely different nutritional profile that can work well within kidney-friendly eating patterns. Chestnuts also tend to be lower in protein compared to other nuts, which can be beneficial since managing protein intake is often part of supporting kidney function when creatinine levels are elevated. Fresh chestnuts, roasted or prepared in traditional ways, can offer satisfying texture and mild sweetness without the same mineral load as many other nut varieties.
Now let's shift gears and talk about the 3 nuts that typically need to be limited or avoided when managing high creatinine levels. Understanding what makes these problematic helps reinforce why the safer choices matter so much. This isn't about creating fear around food, but rather about making informed decisions that support kidney health. Brazil nuts top the list of nuts to avoid or severely limit with kidney concerns, and there are actually multiple reasons for this. First, they're extremely high in both potassium and phosphorus, 2 minerals that kidneys struggling with filtration have difficulty managing. Even a small serving can pack a significant mineral punch that taxes an already challenged system. Additionally, Brazil nuts are extraordinarily high in selenium, a mineral that's essential in small amounts but can actually become toxic when consumed in larger quantities. For someone with impaired kidney function, the ability to properly regulate selenium decreases, making the risk of accumulation even more concerning. These factors combined make Brazil nuts one to skip. Almonds are another nut that needs careful consideration, and this often surprises people because almonds have such a strong reputation as a health food. And they do offer benefits, including heart-healthy fats and some helpful nutrients. But for kidney health specifically, almonds are quite high in phosphorus compared to many other nuts.
When kidneys can't efficiently filter phosphorus, levels build up in the bloodstream and start pulling calcium from bones to maintain balance. Over time, this can lead to weakened bones and even dangerous calcium deposits in blood vessels and soft tissues. While an occasional few almonds might be okay for some people with early kidney concerns and doctor approval, they're generally not ideal for regular consumption when creatinine is elevated. Cashews round out the list of nuts to avoid or strictly limit with kidney concerns. Like almonds, cashews contain notably high amounts of both phosphorus and potassium, creating that double concern for mineral management. They're also relatively high in protein compared to some other nuts, which factors into overall protein load on the kidneys. What makes this challenging for many people is that cashews are incredibly popular, showing up in everything from trail mixes to stir-fries to creamy nut-based sauces. Reading ingredient labels becomes important, as cashews can hide in processed foods where they might not be immediately obvious. For kidney health, finding alternatives or simply avoiding cashew-heavy foods is typically recommended. Beyond just choosing the right nuts, portion control deserves its own conversation, because even kidney-friendly nuts can become problematic in large amounts. The difference between a helpful small serving and an overwhelming mineral load can be just a matter of a few extra handfuls. Learning what appropriate portions look like makes all the difference.
A general guideline often recommended is keeping nut portions to about 1 ounce, which is roughly a small handful or about a quarter cup for most nuts. This might seem small compared to sitting down with a full bag, but it's enough to enjoy the flavor and get some nutritional benefit without overloading the kidneys with excess minerals. Measuring portions, at least initially, can be eye-opening. What feels like a reasonable snack portion can easily be 2 or 3 times the recommended serving. Using measuring cups or even a small kitchen scale for a while helps calibrate what an appropriate portion actually looks like, making it easier to eyeball portions accurately down the road. Salt is another crucial factor that often gets overlooked when discussing nuts and kidney health. Many commercially available nuts come heavily salted, and that added sodium creates additional problems for kidney function and blood pressure management. Damaged kidneys struggle to regulate sodium effectively, leading to fluid retention, increased blood pressure, and extra strain on the heart. Always choosing unsalted or low-sodium versions of any nuts consumed is essential for kidney health. This might mean skipping the conveniently packaged salted nuts in favor of bulk unsalted varieties, or learning to enjoy the natural flavor of nuts without that salty coating. Some people find that adding their own light seasoning with herbs or spices satisfies that flavor craving without the sodium load.
Reading labels becomes a critical skill here too. Even nuts labeled as lightly salted can contain surprisingly high amounts of sodium per serving. Checking the nutrition facts for sodium content and comparing options helps make truly informed choices. When in doubt, plain unsalted is always the safest bet for kidney health. It's also worth addressing nut butters, since these have become incredibly popular as alternatives to traditional peanut butter. The same principles apply, choosing versions made from kidney-friendly nuts, checking for added salt, and being mindful of portions matters just as much, if not more, since nut butters are easy to overconsume. Natural nut butters made from just nuts without added oils or sugars are generally preferable when they fit within a kidney-friendly plan. However, portion control is even more crucial since it's remarkably easy to consume several servings worth in one sitting when spreading nut butter on bread or adding it to smoothies. Measuring rather than eyeballing is particularly important with nut butters. Now, let's talk about working with healthcare providers, because individual kidney health situations can vary significantly. What works perfectly fine for someone with mildly elevated creatinine might be completely inappropriate for someone with more advanced kidney disease. This is where professional guidance becomes absolutely essential rather than just helpful. A nephrologist, which is a kidney specialist, can provide specific guidance based on complete health picture, including current kidney function, other medical conditions, medications, and overall nutritional needs. They can interpret lab results in context and help determine which foods, including specific nuts, are appropriate for individual situations and in what amounts. Working with a renal dietitian, someone who specializes specifically in kidney nutrition, can be equally valuable. These professionals understand the nuanced balance of managing not just one nutrient, but the complex interplay of protein, potassium, phosphorus, sodium, and other factors that all impact kidney function. They can create personalized eating plans that include enjoyable foods while supporting kidney health. Regular monitoring of lab work is another crucial piece of the puzzle. Kidney function and mineral levels can change over time, meaning what was fine 6 months ago might need adjustment now. Staying on top of regular testing and reviewing results with healthcare providers ensures that dietary choices continue to match current kidney function status. There's also the bigger picture of overall kidney health beyond just individual foods. Managing blood pressure, keeping blood sugar controlled for those with diabetes, staying well hydrated, and maintaining a healthy weight all factor significantly into supporting kidney function and potentially slowing progression of kidney disease. Thinking of dietary changes as part of a comprehensive kidney health strategy rather than isolated restrictions can make the whole approach feel more manageable and purposeful. Each healthy choice, whether it's selecting appropriate nuts or taking medications as prescribed, contributes to the bigger goal of protecting kidney function for the long term. For folks feeling overwhelmed by all these dietary considerations, starting small with manageable changes tends to work better than trying to overhaul everything overnight. Maybe that means first focusing on switching from salted to unsalted nuts, or simply reducing portion sizes before tackling bigger dietary shifts. Finding kidney-friendly recipes and meal ideas that actually taste good and fit into daily life makes sustainable change much more achievable. There are numerous resources available now specifically for kidney-friendly cooking that move beyond bland, restrictive-feeling meals to food that's genuinely enjoyable while supporting kidney health. Managing high creatinine through food choices is really about working with the body rather than against it. The kidneys do incredible work every single day, and when they need support, choosing foods wisely becomes one meaningful way to provide that help. Nuts can absolutely still be part of the picture for many people. It's simply a matter of choosing the right ones in the right amounts.
This conversation is part of an ongoing kidney health management, not the whole picture. Professional medical guidance, regular monitoring, and a comprehensive approach to kidney health all work together with smart food choices. Nobody has to navigate this alone, and there are healthcare professionals specifically trained to help with exactly these questions. If this information was helpful, that like button is right there, and it genuinely helps others find this content when they're searching for answers. Subscribing to Health Bloom means staying connected to more conversations about real health topics that matter for daily life. And comments are always welcome, whether it's sharing experiences, asking questions, or suggesting topics for future episodes. Taking care of kidney health is a journey, and every informed choice along the way makes a difference. Here's to making those choices with confidence and clarity. Until next time, stay well.